everyone. Glad to see you all as we come to a near end of August. We would like to get started and we'd like to call this evening's Jefferson Elementary School District Governing Board meeting to order. Miss, what time are we? At 7:01 p.m. And we'd like to call members present. Miss Clover-Wade, will you call roll for us, please?
Clayton Koo.
Here.
Marie Brizuela.
Here.
Andrea Jordan.
Here.
Manufo Leah Inga Anawai.
Here. Thank you all. Ms. Scott, could we ask you to kindly display the flag as we enter into the Pledge of Allegiance? I would like to ask Ms. Brizuela if you would like to lead us this evening in our pledge.
Okay.
Thank you.
I pledge. So you're going to say it with me? Everybody? No. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Brizuela. And Ms. Scott, if you wouldn't mind displaying our meeting guidelines at this time, that would be much appreciated. If everyone has reviewed them and you're all set, if I could get a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Scott. At this time, I'd like to ask for a motion for the approval of the agenda if there are no edits or additions.
Yes, I do have one on item 11B, certificated personnel. It's should under Catherine Seifert, which is the 7th person down. It should say Catherine Seifert, kinder teacher, Daniel Webster. And then instead of step 7 at the end, it should say step 1. So just the correction would be step 1 on item 11B, Catherine Seifert.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. So noted.
Thank
Are there
you.
any other, thank you. Are there any other changes to the agenda? If not, if I could please have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the revision as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you. Agenda approved. We will now move on to, could we pause on this part for just a moment? Could we delay this part for just a moment? You look beautiful. You look absolutely beautiful, Ms. Magno. At this time, we will move on to our special presentations and we will turn it over to Superintendent Vidalis to start us off.
Thank you. With much sadness, we have received a letter of resignation from former board member, Ms. Mabel Manio. And I just want to take this moment just to provide some recognition for her years of service, specifically even this year she served as president. Want to thank her just for her very capable and quick learning about board governance and board protocols and really stepping up to the plate as board president these last 8 months. It was really a pleasure and has been a pleasure to work with you to help guide our district during this time, probably some of the most challenging years a district has faced. And it's been wonderful to have you sort of guiding the boat during this time. I wish you well, obviously, in your future endeavors. And I want you to know that, anytime you decide to move back into our Jefferson Elementary School District, we'll keep a seat warm for you. We would love to see you back on this board. Your passion and your commitment is to be admired and as a model for the rest of us. So as is tradition, we do have a couple of gifts for a retiring board member. You're so young, I can't imagine you retiring, but you are retiring. So I just want to show this real quickly. So we have a plaque for you. We were hoping to give it to you today when you were going to stop by this afternoon, but you'll pick it up tomorrow when you stop by. This is a plaque with the gavel and an inscription. Let's see if I can read that, make it a bit bigger. The inscription reads, "Thank you for your exceptional and dedicated service as a member of the governing board of the Jefferson Elementary School District and your outstanding leadership as president of the Board of Trustees from December 2020 through August 2021. And as has been our practice the last couple of times, we also have a more personal gift on behalf of the district to you. And this is also in your gift bag when you come by tomorrow. We were able to get the black fleece jacket that you had wanted to order several months ago, but due to shortages in supply of black fleece jackets, we were not able to get it when you were going to pay for it. So now you get it as a gift. And this is our gift to you to thank you for your time with us. And so with that, I just turn it over to Vice President Lienga Anoa'i and see how you want to proceed. I imagine other board members would like to give words, and then we'd love to hear from Ms. Manio at the end.
Absolutely. Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. We would like to open the floor now to our board trustees to offer sentiments and well wishes to our outgoing president, Ms. Manio. Trustee Brusuela, I see your mic off. Would you like to go first?
Oh, I'm sorry, my mic's off? Oh dear.
Oh, you can press it again because now you've muted yourself. There you go. You're all set.
Okay. I think it was like that already. Okay. Well, maybe I just want to say that I'm going to miss you. You've been a tremendous board member, and I think you've done a great job. And I know that you're moving on because you're moving out of the area. You can't be on the board when you're not here, but thank you for all that you've done. You've done a lot, and it's been a pleasure to work with you. I hope that you find time to call us back and come visit us. Okay. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Brusuela. If the floor is still open.
I'll go. Miss Manio, we had the pleasure of crossing paths before I actually joined the board because our children went to the same school, and it was a pleasure meeting you then. And then obviously now working with you on the board was your open arms and welcoming me and just being there as a voice of reason and just your guidance and your governance per what Superintendent Vidalis said is just, I'm almost like, are you sure you want to leave us? But I know you've already But I hold the same sentiments as Trustee Brizuela and Superintendent Vidales. You've done an amazing job. I'm happy that I was able to join under your leadership, and I'm excited, hopefully, to continue a relationship past you being on the board, and hopefully you help guide me as I continue to be the newest board member here. And good luck with all the future endeavors you have. I'm sure you're going to be amazing at whatever you put your hands on.
Thank you, Trustee Jordan. Trustee Koo?
Yeah, I just want to echo everybody else's comments. It is sad to see you leave. I've really enjoyed working with you for the past couple of years. Your perspectives, your knowledge, just knowing the school district and all the things that you've offered us as a board for the past couple of years. I want to say thank you. I know the job at times is tough, and I think we can all agree to that, but I just wanted to just say thank you for hopping on a couple of years ago when there was an open vacancy that popped up and doing such a great job. So just wanted to say thank you. I'm sure I'll see you around. I just want to kind of wish you all the best, and hope to see you in Daly City soon again.
Thank you, Trustee Koo. There's just really not enough good words to say about you, Ms. Manio. It's very difficult to see you leave our board, especially during some very difficult and uncertain times. Your leadership, just as Superintendent Vidales has shared, has carried us through some very difficult decisions that you at the helm had to really set the tone for us to be guided and to follow in your leadership. But I am confident that although you've moved out of our city and our district, that you will continue to share your wisdom anywhere that you go. I continue to imagine your leadership being a bright spot throughout our county. We were very fortunate to have your voice at the table and at the helm with us. And we just continue to wish you all the best. We're definitely going to miss you. Your honesty, your intentionality, your courageous voice, and the lens of equity that you always shared at every meeting and even outside of our meetings. You continue to be vocal. You truly were a stellar leader in our district. So you will be missed, and we look forward to staying in touch. So please do not be a stranger. We wish you all the best. And now we will turn it over to you.
Thank you guys so much for those sweet and kind words. And I really appreciate the plaque and of course the sweater that I wanted. So thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that, but I really do appreciate it. And I just want to say that it's been such a worthwhile ride for me. And I've just truly enjoyed my time serving with you all. And I've learned so much and grown so much with you all, from, the district passing ethnic studies to the workforce housing development and dealing with COVID times. And it's been so wild and so, it's truly been a great learning experience for me that I'm going to take with me throughout my entire life. And I do want to also thank you all. Thank you, Bernie. You've always been super informative and helpful with anything and everything that I ever threw at you. Sorry if they were so random and out of left field, but you would always catch those balls and throw them back with such clarity and directional help on how to move forward. Clayton, thank you for who you are. I know I in my heart, I feel like I should expect great things from you. You're so young, and I don't even remember what I was doing when I was your age, but it definitely wasn't this. So you're off to a great path, and I know I'm going to see you in the future. And Andrea, you mentioned that our kids went to school together, and doing book fairs and stuff with you, and getting to know you in those other environments, I think really did well for our relationship here on the board. And I definitely wish you and your family well. And if anything, feel free. All of you have my phone number. Feel free to reach out anytime. Please don't be a stranger. Marie, our longest board member, your time has been invaluable here, and I hope you know that. And I hope that you continue to take care of yourself and your husband and find the time for you. I have a mother your age, and it's important to put yourself as a priority as well. And I definitely wish you well, Marie. And Manufo, I appreciate you stepping up and taking the role in my absence. Sorry, it's a little shotgun. But I also just appreciate your overall vibe and eloquence and perspective. And I've learned a lot, and you know, how to servant lead. I had every intention to stay the entire term, but to, you know, other circumstances, I had to leave Daly City and prioritize my child and where she's going for her next school. But I know this isn't going to be the last that you guys see of me, for sure. Shaquille, our old president before this, and I have other projects with JESD, with the County Office of Ed. So you'll definitely still be hearing from me and seeing me. And I'm just want to say thank you to you all the administrators. Maria, I don't know if you're listening, but you've been such a great help with everything, and everyone else, Brent and Julie and everyone else that I, you know, have worked with. I'm gonna miss you all, but I thank you all for everything. So thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you again, Ms. Monyo. And as we said, please don't be a stranger. We look forward to staying in touch with you. And again, be safe, be well, and we wish you all the best to you and your family.
Thank you. Have a great meeting.
Yeah, you too. And we'll see you tomorrow when you pick up your gift bag.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. Bye.
She's definitely going to be missed. Very grateful for the time that she shared with us here in our district. We will now move on to communications, and we are at board member acknowledgements and commendations, and we'll kick it off with Trustee Koo.
Sure, I'll get started. I know that I think pretty much most of us were at the groundbreaking for our teacher and faculty housing project a couple weeks ago. So just want to acknowledge everybody in the district and all the staff for putting that together. It was a great event. Lots of attendees, lots of news coverage. So just want to just thank everybody in the district who helped put that together and who has helped us get to that point. Because I know it's been a very long process, but it's great to see a shovel in the ground and hopefully see a building pop up pretty soon. And then also, I want to acknowledge that there is a statewide election happening in a couple of weeks. And I just want to remind everybody to register to vote. If you haven't voted yet, last day is August 30th. You can honestly do it online. You can do it in person. It's really easy. And then just want to remind everybody to also vote. I know there's been a lot of elections recently, but just want to flag whether on whichever opinion or whatever side you're on ballot or on the issue, I think just make sure to go vote. Our voice is much stronger when we vote as a democracy. So just want to encourage everybody to take the small effort, 30 seconds, a minute, cast your ballot, drop it off in the mailbox, and you're good to go. Other than that, just want to wish everybody a happy, good start of the school year, happy fall, and hopefully see everybody in person soon again.
Thank you, Trustee Koo. Trustee Jordan?
Thank you. I actually echo Trustee Koo's sentiments in terms of back to school. It's exactly a week since we actually come back into session. And so I just want to make sure that everyone is very aware that we are still technically not all the way out of the weeds with this pandemic. And so wearing your mask, if you haven't been vaccinated yet, getting vaccinated, you know, if not for you, for those around you and our elders and those with pre-existing conditions, and just making sure that we are aware that, again, we want to keep our schools open. And so in order to do so, we do need to make sure that we're following the protocols that the state has given us around social distancing and masks. And then also, I feel so sad that I wasn't able to join the groundbreaking. I had a prior appointment come up that last minute that I could not attend, but I saw all the pictures, and it was so amazing to see, again, me inheriting some of this great work that this board has already done. And so I'm just excited to see some buildings start popping up, and us moving towards actually putting our teachers into those homes. So I'm looking forward to that. And then lastly, I just want to, thank everyone on the board again for just your insight and for moving things forward. And Manufa and Trustee Liaga Nawai, taking the lead here with Ms. Brizuela, sorry, not Ms. Brizuela, Ms. Manio moving on to another district in terms of her living situation. And so all of us are crawling together and just keeping things going regardless of what's happening. And so I wanted to give a shout out to everyone on the board for just pivoting when we need to. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jordan. Trustee Buswella. Sorry, you're on mute, Marie. Sorry, Trustee Buswella, you're on mute.
Now you hear me? Okay, sorry.
We lost you again. You want to click on the mic? There you go.
You know what it is? I'm sorry. I think I put down my binder and I hit something and it goes back. I'm going to put it over here. How's that? Okay. Jeez, I wonder what happened here. Okay. So anyway, I want to repeat everything that everyone has said, because everything you said is absolutely right. But I do want to say that, first of all, for what Clayton had said, I want to remind everybody, no matter what is on a ballot at any time, every vote counts. And I had a paper that I thought I was going to read to you today, but I can't find it in my mess here. But anyway, it says how many times in some situation one vote made a difference. So everybody, no matter what it is, be sure it's a right that we have, is to vote, and vote whichever way you vote. So that's important. I wanted to share that with everybody. And also to, I did also want to comment that I did go to the groundbreaking, and I was really proud of everything I saw. It was a great celebration. There were so many people there and everything was going on. And I want to thank all those that donated to us, because we didn't pay for the food or anything that was there. All the different donations of the folks that helped us in the project came forth and paid for all of that. And I know that Superintendent Vidalis is, I'm sure, sending out thank you notes and showing the appreciation from the board, and hope that our name is on that paper saying that we appreciate each and every person, whatever they did to make this a total success. And it really was. I didn't know how long I was going to stay, but I stayed from the minute it started to the minute it ended. And then a little bit longer. So thank you to everyone for making that a great day, that we can really be proud of what together the community made it happen. Not just us, but the community together made this happen. And it's really great. So with that, I think probably I put everything together that I could, without repeating the same thing everyone else has said. But for Ms. Manalo, I know we're going to see her from time to time, which I look forward to, and I wish her much success as she moves on, because she will be. She'll do a great job. So other than that, I think I better stop.
Thank you, Trustee Buswella. I agree too with everything that's been shared, and I do want to extremely urge and encourage everyone to participate in this upcoming election. It's absolutely crucial, and like Trustee Koo has mentioned, it doesn't matter what side you're on. It really is important that we exercise our vote. So I hope that we will take advantage of that. I can't stop smiling every time I pass by MP Brown. Every time I'm having a rough day, it definitely brings a smile to my face. It really is a bright spot and a gift of hope in our communities. We continue to set the tone here at JESD, it makes me very proud to be able to serve on this board. I also wanted to encourage everyone to participate in redistricting conversations, especially coming from marginalized communities. I know for my community, Pacific Islanders have been gathering and convening throughout the state. And especially here in the Bay Area, we are trying to explain what that means, the importance of understanding it, and raising awareness around the importance of redistricting. I wanted to also mention that tomorrow at 5 p.m., there is a Women's Equality Day virtual networking event that will be hosted by San Mateo County Commission on Status of Women. And you can find the link on the Facebook page and register there. It is a free event, but this again is based on Women's Equality Day. And I hope that if you are able to, that you will participate. I also wanted to share an initiative that is being hosted out of San Francisco around gun violence that has been organized and coordinated, and gun violence around youth has been coordinated in particular, unfortunately, due to the shooting and passing of my niece 3 years ago in the Bayview Hunters Point at the young age of 16 years old. They have approached San Francisco Unified and they are hoping to find other partners. So I did want to put that on our radar and raise awareness about a campaign that they are initiating with the hopes to share more information out. And once that is received, I will be sure to share that with Superintendent Vidalis so that we can take a deep dive into the details, because I'm sure that we definitely don't want to see any of our youth lose their life especially through a violent act. Other than that, we will continue on to Superintendent Comments.
Thank you. So as was mentioned last week, just 7 days ago, we had our first day of school with all of our students on campus for the first time since March 13th, 2020. It was, I've been spending a couple hours every day visiting different school sites, just walking around and looking into classrooms and just looking into the eyes of students who are so happy to be in school and so appreciative. They amaze me from pre-K all the way up. You know, they're so good at wearing their masks. They do so much better than many adults I know. They cover both their nose and their mouth. And, you know, and they're also too, you never so often it does slip down, but they're just very good at the nonverbal cues. They just point to the nose and then they know to lift it right back up. So it's truly been a pleasure to see the learning in action and the relationships developing between their teachers and their students, relationships that I hope will really help lift up our students in this time of potentially great fear and nervousness. We have just about 99% of our students in in-person classes in our district. About 1% of our students are pursuing an independent study option, which is also great to hear. We just know that in-person learning is so important for our students and their interactions. The other thing that we know, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around, but we know that the virus is still active in our community. It's still out there and it will come into our schools. And as much as I try to reduce the presence of the virus in the community by encouraging vaccination and encouraging testing, you know, I know that our teachers and our staff and our principals, we have the most control about what happens in our classrooms and schools. And so we're really trying to stay vigilant with some of the mitigation strategies that we have in place, and by, making sure that we're all wearing our masks, making sure that we, just pursue some of the safe practices that we've got to know this last year. And one of the things I did want to share with the board was that we're going to add another mitigation strategy that I think will really support our efforts to keep our schools safe and reduce transmission. We're going to start offering testing to students and to staff on a weekly basis. We were selected to be a part of the California Department of Public Health's program to offer that to our schools. And so we're in the stage now of ramping up and getting in all the information that we need. And hopefully by right about Labor Day, a little bit after, we'll be able to do our first round. And it is very exciting to know that, we have a community that wants to stay safe. And, like I said, the virus is in our community. And so the virus does seep into our schools. We don't have a force field to keep it out. And students and other adults who may have tested positive are just so appreciative, of the efforts that we take to make sure that they get cared for and taken care of, and everyone is in good spirits. And we don't want anyone to be exposed, but we know that we are. And as been mentioned before, we're exposed in everywhere we go. We just don't get told when Safeway doesn't tell us that there was a person with a positive case who was shopping next to us. We just don't know that. In keeping with our practice of limiting gatherings, we're sad, but still hopeful that, we get to offer back to school night virtually this year. We don't really want crowds of people that tend to congregate at a back to school night coming together in our school buildings. And so our staff is preparing virtual back to school nights. I will get those links to the board so that you can visit some that suit your schedule. Our first one will be this Thursday for the elementary schools, and then our middle schools the following Thursday. So September 2nd and September 9th. So that's about it for me, but yeah, it's been an exciting week. Again, there's every day, it's just fear and trepidation. It's like how can we keep this virus from moving from one person to another in our school buildings? And so far, after a week, we've been able to do it, but I don't want us to let our guard down and keep it up. So.
Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. Super excited to hear the details of that rollout for our district to do that testing. I can say that hearing from different districts over the past 2 weeks and how they are wanting to have school site testing, but for example, in San Jose have found it very difficult to get that on site. It's definitely appreciated to hear that is something that we are able to offer when you hear that other schools are in dire need of it and would like it, but don't have access to it. So really looking forward to hearing the details in that rollout. And I do hope that we continue to be hyper vigilant during these uncertain times of this variant now added on to our COVID. So we will now move on to general functions, and we are now looking at our consent agenda. And I'd like to request a motion to approve our consent agenda.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. And I forget, is this a voice vote or is it roll call?
Yes, it may be a voice vote.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Awesome. We will now move on to the discussion around Board of Trustees vacancy. We will discuss and take action on this item. The administration seeks direction on the process the board wishes to use to fill the board vacancy. If pursuing a provisional appointment, the board, the board may select up to 2 members to serve on an ad hoc committee to determine whether applicants meet eligibility criteria. Superintendent Vidalis, could you elaborate more for us?
Yes, and so when we have a resignation or retirement of a board member in the middle of their term, the board, as explained in the bylaw in your backup, does have a couple of options and decisions to make. Since it is longer than 4 months for Ms. Manio's term to be done, we do have the option to either pursue a provisional appointment, which we've done in the past, where we announce the vacancy and we solicit applications from eligible district residents. And the board then interviews all of those eligible candidates and then makes a selection. Or the board can choose to also set up a special election. I'm not really sure how the mechanics of that work, but we would need to call for a special election at our next board meeting, if that's how you move, to request the elections office to prepare the materials and prepare the documents needed for that. So those are the two choices right now that the board has. If the board does not make a decision at the end of 60 days, the county superintendent of schools in San Mateo County will call for a special election, as that is their role as the county office. So it's up to the board. I'm here to answer any questions. I've done this now a couple of times, we have everything just about ready to move in either direction.
Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. Trustee Brusuela.
First of all, thank you for putting this on the agenda. Number one, I think I'm looking at the expense that would cost our district. So I think that calling for an election would be something I would not want to support at this time, because it's not that far away from the next election coming up. It's very costly when we have to pay for that election, if we do it now. Secondly, as far as a committee, let's see, it says here about 2 members to be able to determine if anyone is eligible. There's no eligibility things except living in the district.
And
So
being a
that's-
registered voter, yeah.
What?
Being a registered voter in our district.
I don't think that is true.
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me what?
Yeah,
where that's-
I'd be happy to show that to you.
I've
but
never
that-
seen that in 40 years.
Okay,
40 years, I've never seen that. There's always been, you have to at least live within the district. So if that's there, I'd be happy to know where that's listed, but I'm not distrusting you. I just never heard of it before.
yeah, gladly.
Okay, so number one, I just want us to consider that we should not be holding another election before the main election. So go the other route of an appointment. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee Brusuela. Do we have any further comments on what has been shared by Trustee Brusuela or other comments from Trustee Koo, Trustee Jordan?
I was going to say, I think I realize half of us on the board right now has gone through the appointment interview process in the past somehow. So I think that in terms of approach, I think probably making a provisional appointment makes most sense. I think it saves our district most money. I mean, it doesn't actually cost us any money, but an election just costs us money that I don't think we should be spending at this time. So provisional appointment is my preferred approach.
For the record, I never got appointed. Ever. Just to make sure you said all of us. but-
Oh, no, I'm referring to half of us.
Okay, thank you. You said all of us. And I don't make sure.
A couple years ago, me and Ms. Leal got on way.
I know. No, I know, but you said all, and I want to make sure. Okay,
Thank you, Trustee Koo. Trustee Jordan?
Yeah, so I actually agree with Trustee Koo's sentiments in the sense that we should definitely move for the appointment versus the going through an election, because I was just thinking about it. I mean, if the elections are happening in a few months, or us going out to vote again, really doesn't make sense for us to do that twice. So, yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Jordan. Before we open it up to ask for a motion, I wanted to ask Superintendent Vidalis, because I too agree with my fellow board colleagues. Could you explain if we move towards the appointment process timeline and what we would need to do to execute that?
Yes, and so it would start with the board voting tonight to make a provisional appointment and providing that direction to me and staff. We would then hopefully by this weekend, but soon thereafter, announce it in a couple of newspapers as well as through our websites and social media and our different school sites where we post agendas. We asked generally in the past, the libraries have cooperated with us and they've posted our announcements and other public spaces like the library, just to post our announcement flyer. Then we have an application that we've used in the past. I'll have to review it. I don't think it needs much updating, but we ask vital details of the individual applying. And then on the back end, as applications are received, we do the first step in confirming eligibility. And then if there is a group of board members who wants to do the second step, they would meet with me and we would review the applications and make sure that the applicants that have met those eligibility criteria. And then we would schedule or either we schedule a separate board meeting or we move things off a scheduled board meeting to conduct the interview and appointment process at a public meeting. Right now, I do need to seek some advice from our county council. It does say 60 days from the receipt of the notice or the date. It's the date of resignation. And so I just need to just double check if it's when it was filed or when it was effective. Because that was, yeah.
When it was received by the county.
Yeah, and so I will just double check on that. If it's the effective date, then we already have a regularly scheduled board meeting on that day. If it's not, then we may need to schedule one maybe a week before. I mean, we do have 5 weeks in September. So there is that 5th Wednesday in September, because we do want to give ample time for announcing and receiving applications.
So I have a question. So on the notices that you're sending out, will they list what the requirements are for a school board member, or what their so-called, not duties, but what they anticipate their role will be? Because that's really important, because some people think they're just getting on to something and they don't really realize what, they have to attend certain meetings. They have to, there should be something that lets the person know what they're going for.
Yeah, and so I'll check and make sure that that's that. And certainly I make myself available to all of the candidates to.
But it should be in written form.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. So everything should be in written form, so it's mailed to them. If they look at it and say, "Oh, I don't think I can commit to this," and they're not going to commit. But I think they, in all fairness, they need to know what the role is of a board member. And if you could send that to the board ahead of time, so we can see what it is, then I will feel very comfortable with that. Okay, because it's all part of what we are going to be looking at later.
Oh, yes. And that really is the role of the board when you interview them, is figuring out, do they know what they're getting into? And are they the right person to do this?
Yeah, in a positive way.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trustee Buswala, and thank you, Superintendent Vidalis, for accommodating the request. So moving forward, it sounds like we're leaning towards provisional appointment. So I would like to ask for a motion.
I make a motion that we proceed with the procedure of a provisional appointment to fill the vacancy on the school board.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and we have a second, and this will be a voice vote. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. We know that you will expedite this with due diligence, considering our timeline. And we look forward to and encourage, candidates of the community to join us in this work.
So one thing I want to make sure before we move on, to make sure that everything is, am I correct in saying that every person who submits an application, as long as they, quote, live in the district And whatever else you say, Bernie, that you have to share with us, if
Mhm.
there's any other requirement, those are the only two requirements that are going to be looked at.
Yep, that's all it takes to be an eligible candidate.
So we'll, no matter if we get, now I'm exaggerating, no matter if we get 50 or 100 applications, we're going to look at everybody.
Yes, we will. And I
Okay,
think we
thank you.
remember when Ms. Lianga Anoa'i was appointed, I think we had close to 20 that evening. There was quite a few.
Yes, but I do know that there are times in the past where there wasn't. So I
Yeah.
want to make sure that every person that is interested should at least have the opportunity to meet, to engage in it. And if we don't select them, it's okay.
So the only other thing I would want to clarify now, is there an interest on the board to review the eligibility, the candidate's eligibility?
Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. You did have it here that we were to select 2 board members for an ad hoc committee. Is that correct?
If it's the board's wish, you may appoint up to 2. We've done it both ways. And I think the last time we did it, the board members came together and like, is this all we're doing? I'm like, yes, this is all we're doing. It wasn't a waste of time. I always enjoy meeting with other board members, but it was less than maybe was expected. So it is up to the board. If the board would like to appoint up to 2 members, I'd be happy to have you join me in that second step of double checking that candidates are eligible.
Thank you, Superintendent Vidalis. Do we have 2 takers that would like to serve in that capacity? Trustee Buswella, do we have one more?
I can do it as well.
Thank you. We have
Okay,
Trustee
wonderful.
Jordan
Thank
and
you.
Trustee Buswella. Thank you both. I mean, I'm excited. It would be wonderful to see 100 candidates.
Well, I mean, it may not be, but I just don't want to exclude anyone who might want to at least explore it. That's all.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we select them.
Well, thank you all. I'm glad that we are moving forward with that. We will now move on to item C for our CSBA call for nominations for directors at large. CSBA is seeking nominations for directors at large, African American, American Indian, and county. The administration recommends that the board considers making a nomination. Nomination packets are due to the superintendent by September 8th for consideration at our September 22nd board meeting. This is submitted for the board's information only. We will not be making a decision tonight, but definitely the floor is open if anyone has any questions that need to be clarified of this process.
I do have one question.
Trustee
In
Buswella?
order to bring it to our table to make a recommendation, does that person should live within our district? Is that it? Or no?
I do not believe that is true. This is not, Mr. Koo, you may know, or even you, Mrs. Brizuela, I don't know if they even need to be in our region. They just need to be a school board member in California that fit that criteria.
Okay.
Criteria.
Okay, I wasn't
Is
sure.
that correct, Mr. Koo?
Yeah, I believe so. I think as long as you fit the basic criteria, any of us can nominate somebody with their consent, but they don't have to live within our school district, even our region or our county. They can live somewhere else, but they just have to meet the basic criteria of either being county member, African American, or American Indian.
So not necessarily on a school board, in other words, right?
They must be a school board member.
Okay,
Or
that's-
African American, American Indian, or serve at the county level.
Okay, okay. That's part I wasn't positive.
Yeah, and then Mr. Koo did say that they do need to have the consent of the individual and probably the participation of them, since they need to supply a resume and answer some
Yeah,
questions.
and then I think,
Of course.
yeah, I think if you nominate them and they don't know about it and they get signed up for a 2-year task,
Yeah.
it might not be the best look for us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Trustee Buswella. Thank you, Superintendent. We will now move on to item M, and that is 2021-2024 AFT successor contract proposal, sunshine and schedule of public hearing. A public hearing will be held on September 8th on AFT Local 3267 successor contract proposal. AFT is proposing to open negotiations on articles identified in the attached proposal. The administration recommends acknowledging the receipt of direct sunshining and distribution for public review, the successor contract proposal for 2021 to 2024 by AFT Local 3267 as required by the Rhoda Act. Do we have any questions?
So we're just acknowledging this, that's all.
Yeah, we are setting the public hearing to hear public comment, so.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So is the motion to say that we are setting the hearing?
Yes.
Correct.
So I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing on September the 8th, 2021 on AFT Local 2267 successor contract.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item N, 2021-2024 JESD counter proposal to AFT Local 3267 successor contract proposal, sunshine and schedule of public hearing. A public hearing will be held on September 8th on JESD's counter proposal to AFT Local 3267 for 2021-2024 successor contract. JESD is proposing to open negotiations on Article 2, wages, Article 3, hours of employment, Article 6, health and welfare, and revising language throughout the document to reflect current law. The administration recommends direct sunshining and announcing time to receive public input on the JESD's counter proposal to AFT Local 3267 for the 2021-2024 successor contract as required by the Rhoda Act. Again, we are setting things in motion for September 8th. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we direct sunshining announce time to receive public input on the Jefferson Elementary School District's counter proposal to AFT 3267 for the 2021-2024 successor contract as required by the Rhoda Act.
Second motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We will now move on to item 10D, 2021 to 2022 state budget adoption update. Ms. Kessler, our CBO, and Mr. Michael Lotto, Director of Fiscal Services, will present an update on our 2021 and 2022 state adopted budget. Ms. Kessler, the floor is yours. And Mr. Lotto.
Good evening. So the state adopted its budget and we will be making all the changes accordingly, but I would like to let you know what the basic things are that are different from what we had adopted. And the biggest change is that I'm sorry. Let me share my screen and pull it up for you. Oh boy. Mr. Lauro, can you do that on yours?
Ms. Kessler, if you need help, you got it?
Let's see here. Is it?
If you
You
stop.
go to the files right there. It's right there. I saw it. Down.
Down here. Yeah. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay, good. All right, so how it's changed, and I need to get rid of this, okay. The biggest change is the governor wanted to increase the concentration grant funds. So as you see here, it's increased from 50 to 65%. Now, we get concentration grant funds on our unduplicated percentage that is in excess of 55%. So clearly we need to keep up that percentage in order to reap the benefits of this so we can bring it to our classroom. So this is the amount here that has changed, and it has gone up by $1.2 million, which is significant. But it is restricted, and it's restricted for direct services to students. It can be teachers, classroom aides, it can be custodians. There are a lot of things that it can be, but it is restricted. In addition to this, this is the amount right here that we're getting more. And as I've pointed out, most of it is right here, this 1.2 million. And then we get an additional $155,000 in supplemental grant funds. So again, the whole thing is restricted. Yes, was there a question? Oh, I thought I heard Mr. Cook. So that is the biggest increase that we have, and that will be added to the budget for the first interim. In addition, they increased the special ed base funding level from $625 per ADA to $715 per ADA. And for Jefferson, that means an additional $576,000. Now, this is significant because special ed encroaches on the general fund, and whatever it encroaches, that fund, those monies come out of the general fund to support special ed. So this will directly offset that and will have lesser of a contribution. This is long overdue, and of course it could use more funds. It would be nice that we would never have to actually contribute, that it could pay for itself, but that doesn't happen at any school district that I know of, actually. In addition, I think you may remember that the unemployment insurance rose. It went up 25 times the amount that it was last year in the adopted budget, but then the state adopted the budget and they reduced it. So instead of being the 1.23% that we were going to have to pay, we will be paying 0.5%. Last year and all previous years that I know of, it was 0.05%. So that's why this is 10 times the amount. This will save us $336,000 in both 2021-22 and 21-22 and in 22-23. They didn't say anything about any years after that. I don't know if the state will then revert back to the 0.05 or if it will continue at a higher rate. We'll find out later. But at least for 2 consecutive years, we will be saving $336,000 each of those years. The state will also pay off the LCFF deferrals. If you recall what that was, is we get our LCFF funding and we get it throughout the year. But in order for the state to balance their budget, they were deferring those payments, $2.6 billion of those payments to the following year, so that they didn't have to recognize it in their budget. Well, they will be paying that off, which is good for us because it'll help cash flow. In addition, what was passed is the Expanded Learning Opportunity Grant, which is an opt-in program. We would be getting about $2 million for that. However, there are a lot of restrictions on this. It would require the district to have between school and after-school programs a 9-hour instructional day. And it would also require us to have 30 days of intersession and summer school. And all of those days would also have to be 9 hours of instruction. So it's a package deal. You have to do everything. You can't just do some of it. Additionally, we have to service at least half of our unduplicated students. And that means if they didn't want to join us in the program, if we were only able to get 48% to go into that program, we wouldn't get the funds. That is how we understand it at this time. We will also be getting educator effectiveness block grant dollars. The state put $1.5 billion towards it. We have not received word on how much that would be for us. However, just using the regular percentage of state funds that we tend to get, that would come up to $1.4 million for the district. That's for a 5-year period, not 1.4 million per year, but $1.4 million for the 5 years combined. And we would need to have a plan. We need to have a plan by December 31st, has to be approved by the board before December 31st of this year. Furthermore, there is a preschool planning grant that we should be receiving about $125,000 on, because preschool is expanding. And then also $25,000 for infrastructure upgrade for food service. And that doesn't get us much. There is a possibility that we will get more funds for that, but this is the base level, and then any further funds would be dependent on our free and reduced population. Also in the budget, although the state did not budget funds for this in the current year, they do plan on having the universal transitional kindergarten as an ongoing program. And then also the universal meal program beginning in year 22-23 and ongoing, where each student, regardless of free or reduced status paid, can have 2 meals per day, like one breakfast, one lunch. They cannot have 2 lunches. If we have a supper program, they can choose 2 meals and have that for free. This current year, we're still on the Seamless Summer program, so everybody gets free meals all this year as well. It's just that next year, it'll be an ongoing program that's run differently. That's basically what we have in the budget that will affect the district budget. And we will be putting it into the second interim. Many of these, not everything. And we have Michael Lauro here, our Director of Fiscal Services, to help answer any kind of questions about what might or might not go in, as well as I can help with those questions. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. So do we have any questions for the team? Trustee Koo?
Ms. Kessler, thank you for the presentation. I guess I have a question in terms of, I think some of these budget adjustments from the approved budget are like 1 to 2 year ones versus like long-term ones. I can't remember the name of the chart. You might know what I'm talking about.
The multi-year projection?
Yeah, sorry, multi-year projections, yeah. How does any of these changes here impact that dramatically? I think there's some additional savings in terms of the state unemployment, as well as some of the supplemental concentration grants. But I guess in terms of, say, like the recently approved budget, as well as the outgoing ones, does it have any like major impacts in terms of some of our reserves or some of the expected savings that we could potentially save from some of these 1 or 2 time budget allocation for us versus all year ones?
Right. Well, clearly this will be an ongoing savings for us. It's going to increase our out years as well as the current year, the special ed, as well as the unemployment insurance, as you know. This here is also funds that if we didn't have like this educator effectiveness program, we still need to provide staff development so that our educators are effective. And if we didn't receive these funds, then we would be using district funds in order to do that, the regular funds. But there are a lot of federal and state funds that we are still getting that were in last year's budget, but ongoing, like the ELOG is actually is actually kind of this year, but last year it's kind of combined, where we're getting $3.8 million. And those funds, as well as a lot of the federal stimulus funds, can be used to help us sustain our programs, especially during a time of declining enrollment. And that is very important because our enrollment is dropping significantly again, and we will have to incorporate this year's enrollment numbers into next year's, into our first interim's projections for the out years. So the revenues will be going down from what you saw in our adopted budget because of declining enrollment.
Also to note, Trustee Koo, as the Seamless Summer Meal Program goes on, and as they mandate 2 free meals a day per student, we don't know how that could potentially impact our certifications for unduplicated pupil students, like for free and reduced lunches. So potentially, depending on how our unduplicated percentage goes, it can go below or above the percentage we have now, which can impact the concentration grant funds we get, that extra 15%. So if in a scenario where that number would go down or that percentage would go down, the correlating effect would be lower concentration grant funding as well. So that would also be an impact.
Mr. Koo, did we answer your questions? I know there's a lot of information there.
I think you did. I will. I will wait for the next budget update. I think all the multi-year stuff. I think that will definitely help you in better understanding. Yeah, but thank you for the update.
And there is one more thing I'd like to mention is that at the next meeting, we'll be bringing our unaudited actuals to you. And I think what's important here is, if you recall, back at second interim, we expressed that that the budget showed deficit spending, but that we wouldn't be deficit spending because of all the stimulus funds. Well, indeed, we have quite a surplus as a result of being able to transfer several $1 million of expenditures out of the unrestricted general fund into some of these stimulus funds that we had, that particularly the ones that we needed to spend before the deadline, and there's still some deadlines. So the good news is that we have a very healthy surplus in closing the 2021 year out, that will also help us sustain programs into the future.
But those are mostly more like one-time funds, right?
They are. What it does is it helps build our reserves.
Okay.
So instead of taking from our reserves from the 2021 school year, we were able to add to the reserves because of all this additional funding that we received. So that will help us, hopefully, several years, as well as hopefully with increasing enrollment. That's the key right there, increased enrollment.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any figures on what the declining enrollment is?
We do. And we will be sharing that with you. I can tell you that Mr. Vidalis, I think we were just talking about that today. I think it was another 125 students down from last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, and again, those are estimates. We have a lot of students that we haven't yet heard from, and we're trying to figure out if they're going to join us. Many times families wait till after Labor Day to come to us. And so we hope that by the next board meeting, we'll have a clearer sense of what that will be. But we're estimating another loss of 125 students. We've lost 100 and so students every year the last 3 years. So it's sort of keeping in line with that loss.
So is that affecting any of the schools at all? Like, is it happening in a particular school rather than all of the schools?
It's spread out.
Spread out. So we're not going to notice it?
We will notice that there are some schools that have just one class at a grade level, and there's a couple schools that have one class at a grade level because it impacted one grade versus other grades. But it is happening. Every one of our schools has seen a loss of enrollment from what we projected.
I just want to ensure that we're not, I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't want to see us closing any schools.
Well, that's a decision the board will have to make
I
at
know.
some point.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't have to go one way or the other. I'm just saying
I know.
You know, to be a good steward of resources, you will need to face that decision.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great questions. Trustee Jordan, did you have questions or comments? Thank you.
Well, I guess I should say that I am taking a lot of this in. This is, and I, you know, you guys are going to present the unaudited information next week, and not next week, but our next meeting. And so hopefully that will give us a little bit more insight into where we need to go. Some of these tough decisions, again, I'm still acclimating to the board, so I haven't had a full year around the sun on all the information you're receiving. And so I'm taking it in. I'm going to need guidance from everyone here, as well as obviously you, Ms. Kessler, and Mr. Lauro, because those numbers are a little dismal and concerning. But again, we'll look at the unaudited information at the next meeting and go from there.
Thank you. And I appreciate this information as well. I think the next presentation will help me at least visualize, because I can hear it. I can see it from what you've presented this evening, but I think seeing the numbers and the actuals definitely helps me to process it better. I did actually, I'm glad you answered, Mr. Lauro, because I was concerned about the universal meals, especially when you spoke to it, Ms. Kessler, when you said that the 25K we were looking at for the food infrastructure was dependent on the ADA piece. I don't know if I heard that right, to see if we see additional funds coming in. I think I forgot, I didn't quite catch that second piece, but I was concerned and what our budget, or how our budget is impacted looking at free and reduced lunch, because I didn't see the numbers around that, considering we're looking at giving every child, regardless if they're free or reduced, because that is what's been approved by the state. So I'm sure that we'll be seeing those actuals on our next presentation, but I'm glad that you shared, Mr. Lauro, what that would, you know, what that we will be impacted, because we don't really know all of that at this point.
One thing I'd like to say is that, well, first off, that 25,000 is the base amount. That's the minimum amount we'll get. And then we'll get more. I don't expect that it's going to be so significant that it's going to make a huge difference. However, with the free and reduced meals, we will be getting federal and state reimbursements for the meals that we serve. So in reality, when school is kind of back to normal, well, hopefully it is, but when students are coming on a regular basis and everybody can walk into the cafeteria and get a free breakfast and get a free lunch, and there is no more, does somebody have to pay, they don't have money, or maybe the family isn't signed up for free and reduced but still can't afford it. Everybody can walk, and there will be no stigma to that. Either there isn't supposed to be in the first place, but you know, still I think that sometimes people do know who the free or reduced students are. But this way everybody gets it, and there's no difference. There's no difference in meals that they're given. You order it in the morning through the classroom, and you go and pick it up at your lunchtime or supper time if it's an after-school program, or breakfast. So I feel that will help our food service program, so as that it doesn't require contributions from the general fund, I'm hoping. But again, as Mr. Lauro said, being that there's no more filling out of a free and reduced lunch application, instead it's an alternate income application, or form, should I say, it's not an application. We don't know how many families, we're encouraging everybody to do that. We're saying that this is like kind of part of the process of school, because it's very important that we capture all the students that we can, because it can significantly affect our supplemental and concentration grant funds. And as you know, we get a lot of funds that way.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. I had two, they're not really questions. Well, they are questions. When we talked about you showed the expanded learning opportunity program and that it was an opt-in and it was a package deal. Are those funds coming in? I remember seeing there was like about 2 billion that was coming in for after school and summer funding. And then there was like a 205 million around mental health student aid act. Is that the funding in there or is that different?
Well, there are so many different funds. It could very well be one of the ones that you're thinking about, the 2 billion one potentially. It's called ELOP. So as opposed to ELOG, the last year's is ELOG, and we get those funds, the ELOG, but these ELOP ones are different. And this is part of the adopted state budget that was not, it was not in our adopted budget. So again, it's opt-in and it has a lot of requirements, and it's very unclear as to what would happen if, well, there's nothing that's, the way it's stated is if you don't have the students in it at the level that they require, you simply don't get the funds. That's the way it's looking, but we don't have the clarity on that yet.
Yeah, so Ms. Liang, we got the big figure, statewide figure, and what you saw from Ms. Kessler was her estimation of what it might be for us. And again, we have the big statewide requirements, but nobody's really processed that down to the point where we can make a decision on whether or not we would recommend our district participate in it. I think all of us would want to see expanded learning opportunities, but we don't want to build up a program and miss it, just be shy and be responsible for all of those new expenses and not be able to benefit from any of the funding. I think that's the worst case scenario. But I think we will look at that and we'll certainly bring it a plan. I'm sure there's going to be a plan involved because there always is a plan. So there's always a plan requirement. We would be bringing that to the board for consideration.
Thank you. I think for me, it's really important, and I hope that people tuning in understand that it has, all those things have to be met. I think there's a lot of confusion and misunderstanding whether you've received all this funding, what happened, but it's opt-in with the requirements. Like you said, it's a package deal. So I know, I appreciate understanding that. So thank you for giving me that clarity. So if there aren't any other comments and other questions, thank you again, Ms. Kessler, Mr. Lauro, for presenting this evening. And I think we've all conveyed our excitement in hearing from you again at our next meeting. We will now move on to item 11A, certificated personnel. And I will turn the time over to you, Mr. Valenti.
Okay. Well, the administrator, we do have 3 resignations. Did you want to read the item itself?
The administration recommends approval of the following resignations and requests an appropriate resolution be prepared, commending those with 10 or more years of service with the district. Catherine, I apologize. Is it Richard?
Richard, yeah.
Richard, 4th grade teacher at George Washington, effective June 11, 2021. And Ms. Richard has been employed by the district since September 13, 2016. We also have Chelsea Pope, 2nd grade teacher at Woodrow Wilson, effective June 11, 2021. And Ms. Pope has been employed by the district since September 24th, 2010. And the last is Melissa Talavera, fifth grade teacher at George Washington, effective August 18, 2021. And Ms. Talavera has been employed by the district since January 9th, 2009.
Thank you very much. Yeah, anytime we lose staff members, it's difficult. And right now it's a particularly difficult time. These three teachers gave a lot of their life and time to our district. And as tough as it is, I do have to recommend that the board does approve their resignations moving forward. And I wish them all best of luck in their new endeavors in the new school districts they're working with.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. I'd like to open up the floor if we have a motion based on the recommendation that has been presented by the administration.
I'll make a motion that we approve the following resignations and requests and appropriation to appear for those, commending those for the year service for more than 10 years. Catherine Richer, Chelsea Pope, and Melissa Talavera.
Second motion.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. And is this a voice vote because of commendation, or is this a roll call,
Yeah,
Superintendent?
we've traditionally just done a voice vote for this.
Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And thank you again to these educators for contributing to our students and our community, and we wish you all well. We will now move on to item 11C, Administrative Services for the Variable Term Waiver for 2021-2022. And the administration recommends approval of a variable term waiver for Fiona Hansen, Dean of Academics at Ben Franklin Middle School, to waive the administrative program while Ms. Hansen completes Cycle 2 and Cycle 3 of the CalAPA projects in order to obtain her preliminary administrative services credential.
Thank you very much. Well, this will be more relevant, especially in item D coming up. So like with many of us, we're in the process sometimes of getting our credentials finished up as we get into new positions. And in order for us to move forward with Ms. Hansen, our new, or soon to be new dean over at Ben Franklin, we need to have a variable term waiver so she can finish up her administrative services credential. So by taking action, the board will allow this waiver to move forward and have her finish her Tier 1 credential through the county office, what's called the California Administrative Performance Assessment. So I would like to recommend the approval.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. Do we have a motion or do we have any questions for clarification?
Yeah, I had some questions about it. It's so what you're saying is that we are putting a waiver on something, giving her a chance to finish what she hasn't done.
So as the short answer is yes. Several, whether it be teachers or administrators, often will be in the program itself while they're beginning their actual administrative experience. We have several principals in the district that have done that, myself included. So this is a general thing. We have the variable term waiver will allow her to finish that.
So I understand that I'd like to see her have that. However, it sounds like you're giving the appointment to a full-time position.
This is a full-time position.
No, but what you're saying is we're going to waive everything because she really hasn't completed it. So if it's a requirement that you complete it before you're hired, it sounds like we're doing it all in one vote.
It's a requirement to have a variable term waiver while you complete the program, so she can move forward. So
yeah.
she's going to, she will, and we've had many of our administrators and teachers.
Okay, I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about right now, this situation. But what you want us to do is to approve the ability for her to have this, yes, but you're also granting it to be a permanent position.
No,
Well,
this primarily what this does is,
This way I'm reading it.
yeah, I
Sorry.
think what this does is just approval of the waiver so that she can serve in that capacity.
Okay.
If she wasn't going to serve in that
Can we
capacity, she
reword
wouldn't.
that in our motion, that it says exactly what you just said?
Sure, if someone wants to make the motion. Why don't you make it so that we know if that's
No,
correct?
that's not my job to put this in order.
Well,
It should have been presented that way, that
the
we
next
are,
item is appointing her to a position. This item is approving a variable term waiver so she can hold that position.
Trustee
Okay.
Brizuela.
Okay.
Can you share your words again? How is it that you'd like us
Okay,
to word it?
okay. I want, she's wonderful and I want to see her have the job. Okay, that's number one. But I think if the requirement is that she already has that, then should it not be considered, should it not be placed that we're hiring her in the position? While she's continuing to get that certificate, or however it's written.
Yeah, that is what it states here, Ms. Bruce, Trustee Brizuela. That is it. That is what it is stated in the
Yeah,
recommendation.
but it's backwards. It's not quite the way I would like to see it said. So I'm just saying is somebody else put it in the word in the verbiage that I'd like to see her in the job. She's wonderful.
I think if we make a motion, including the words like at the end of that sentence that say to waive the administrative program while Ms. Hanson completes cycle 2 and cycle 3 of the Cal APA in order to obtain her preliminary administrative credentials, I think that's the action that we're looking for.
Is that what it? Okay,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve that.
Okay,
What you said.
thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brizuela. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Jordan. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are now moving on to item 11B, administrative appointments, and it does require action. The administrator recommends approval of the following administrative appointments. Fiona Hanson, Dean of Academics at Ben Franklin, effective August 3rd, 2021, 198 work days. 1 MWMA, step 1. Diego Zarate, ELD Program Director at JFK, effective September 1st, 2021, 217 workdays prorated. 1 MWMA, step 14. Do we have any questions and or a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the following administrative appointments. Fiona Hanson, Dean of Academics at Benjamin Franklin, and Diego Zarate, EOD Program Director at JFK.
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Valenti.
Thank you very much.
We
I
appreciate
believe we actually do have, I don't know if Ms. Hanson's here, but we have Mr. Zarate here. Mr. Vidalis, is he coming
Yeah,
in?
Mr. Zarate is here, so I think he may want to share just a few words of appreciation to the board. So Mr. Zarate, if you would please.
Thank you, Mr. Zarate.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Trustees, superintendent, assistant superintendent, and all members of the Jefferson Elementary School District. It's an honor for me to be here tonight. I'm very excited to be joining your community as your new ELD program director, and I hope I could get to meet you soon. Hopefully COVID allow us to meet soon in person. So looking forward to joining you very soon.
Thank you, Mr. Zarate.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us and investing in our community.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any of the other board members like to say any words or?
Welcome to our district, and I hope that we all get to see each other soon.
Likewise.
Thank you, Ms. Brizuela. Mr. Koo or Ms. Jordan?
Congratulations. Welcome to our district, and hope to see you either in a future meeting in person at a school site or just around the district.
Absolutely. Likewise.
I echo my trustees' sentiments. Welcome to our district, Mr. Zarate. We are happy to have you, and we look forward to definitely seeing you in the future in person.
Thank you. Thank you for your welcome.
Thank you very much, Diego. It's very nice to see you, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank
in
you
the
so much.
shop.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We will now move on to item 12A, classified personnel. And this is a retirement. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request from the following classified employee and requests an appropriate resolution be prepared commending her for years of service with the district.
All right.
Julie Kessler, Assistant Superintendent, Business Services, effective December 30th, 2021. Date of hire, December 6th, 2010. Mr. Velez.
Well, I'd hate to say I recommend this approval, but I know Julie's ready for it. And she's gonna have some big shoes to fill. And I'm really gonna miss seeing her around. She's a heck of a spirit in the office, and I want to wish her the best in this next chapter of her life. And I recommend her approval of her retirement request.
It's not easy, but I have 2 daughters and 3 little grandsons who are chomping at the bit for my attention. So I'll be spending a lot of time with them, but this is when I brought it to Mr. Vidalis, I broke down in tears. So I'm going to stop right now because I don't want to do that again.
It just adds up.
Well, I'd like to say, I want to thank you also for your service, for all the years you spent with our district. And I know that you have another role in your life now with your, you say, your grandchildren. And that's really also awesome for you. And you'll really enjoy it. But you can still come back and see us. And there'll be times that we're going to be celebrating that you can come also. So, but thank you for what you've done with our district. Appreciate everything.
I'll echo the comments. You'll be greatly missed. I hope that even once you leave our district, you are still teaching your grandkids about multi-year reports, projections, all the fun. Yeah, so yeah, just want to say thank you for everything. Really grateful for all the budget presentations along the way. I'm much more informed because of your presentations, so just want to say thank you.
There's still time to learn, by the way. I have several months. So Ms. Jordan, if you would like to come by, I would be happy to talk your ear off.
I was going to echo the sentiments. It's been a great 8 months getting the presentations from you. You've actually made it so much easily digestible, I would say. I was honestly super scared. I think I had talked to Mr. Vidalis about budgeting. I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. But you've made it completely understandable. You've broken it down, you've answered the questions, and it's going to be a huge loss for us, but a huge gain for your family. And, you know, looking after your grandchildren is probably going to be such a rewarding experience. And so we can't compete with that, but I will probably take you up on that offer in terms of getting some more information so that I could be like Trustee Koo asking all of the hard-hitting questions. But thank you for your service, Ms. Kessler.
I'm trying not to cry. You know, Ms. Kessler, we've shared some tears. There's a lot of emotion in putting this forward as a recommendation and asking the board to approve it. When I came onto the board, I too have spent those times out in the bungalow coming to you, you know, just trying to ask questions, and you always entertaining my backward questions, because a lot of times I'm asking it, but my mind is still processing it. And you've always extended that grace to me, even tonight, as I give you my babble of things that I'm processing around the budget. We have heard continuously how school districts, not just here in our county, but throughout the country, who are devastated by folks who are supposed to be caretakers of their school district's budgets. We're so fortunate to have someone who has been just a good steward in ensuring that our numbers look good, that we are on top of our budget, that we are informed, and that we are able to make sound decisions because of all that you fed us with. I'm very grateful I've learned so much from you. And as Mr. Valenti has said, you're leaving huge shoes to be filled by the next person that we have to decide. And it's going to be tough not to compare them because you leave us with high standards. And I just want to thank you. But as trustee Jordan has shared, your family has gained your time. And if the pandemic has given us anything, it is the importance of us reevaluating our lives and prioritizing what's important to us. So I commend you. I admire you, and I am actually hoping that I get to do what you get to do. I mean, I think we all aspire to be able to do just that, to leave on our own terms and do what we want and share the rest of our time with those that we love. So I wish you all the best. And please, please stay in touch. We know how to find you too. We know your address. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
before the board votes on this, I'd like to say a few words. So I want to thank Ms. Kessler for her 11 years of service to our school district and the many years of service to public education in California. She's been the chief business official for every year, every of my term as superintendent. And it's been wonderful to have such a well-reasoned professional advisor in our office that I can trust completely. I appreciate all of her attention to detail and her willingness to learn and to find out answers to the questions that I have that are just below the surface, and she'll go and research and come back with some answers. And I just appreciate her dedication to do that. And that's just on the professional level. And I think on a personal level, on the friendship level, we worked shoulder to shoulder here for the last 11 years. And I was part of the committee that helped select her 11 years ago. And it's just been great to, share life together and life's joys and life's pains. And so I know that will continue. But I will certainly miss the professional camaraderie that we've had.
Thank you.
And another thing is, Ms. Kessler is just very open and very transparent with, everything. And, sometimes business officials can be hiding things or not quite as transparent because they don't want to share the bad news, but she's
Close to the chest.
back from that. So, I do feel that I do get the truth when I hear from her.
Thank you.
That I'll leave it to the board to take action.
Do we have a motion, a reluctant motion?
Do we vote no? No.
You may vote as you wish, but I hope there's at least 3 who vote yes.
I'm just kidding.
I'll make a motion to approve the administration's recommendation for the request of retirement for Ms. Julie Kessler as Assistant Superintendent Business Services effective December 30th of 2021.
I'll second the motion.
We have a first and a second, and also requesting the appropriate resolution in her honor for her years of service. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you again, Ms. Kessler.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. It's
Like-
really, really been a pleasure.
I'd like to make a comment.
Congratulations, Julie.
I just wanted to thank you, Julie, for letting us know so far in advance. It gives us an opportunity to gather things together and plan your going away party.
No, not that.
No. But I'm just saying it gives us time to get everything in order, and thank you for allowing us that opportunity.
Well, that's my intention.
Yeah, appreciate that. Couldn't talk you out of it.
Too late. It's been approved.
Thank you again. Thank you again, Ms. Kessler.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's hard to continue with the meeting after that. So
No. She's been on the bottom.
taking that one in. All right. So we are now at item 13. Persons wishing to address the board on unagendized or closed session items. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda, or an item addressed in closed session. We have asked that speakers submit a speaker card, and the maximum time allowed here for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. And we also don't know if we have any speaker cards, but we also want to remind the public that we listen to what is shared during this time, but the board does not respond to the comments that are made during this open public session. So I am asking Superintendent Vidalis if we do have speaker cards for this evening's meeting.
Yes, we had 2 submitted, but I see only 1 speaker in the room. So I'll ask Mr. Smith if you would please invite our speaker, Ms. Teresa Chong, to please unmute her mic and make her comments.
Hi, good evening. My name is Teresa, and this is my first time to a board meeting, so I wasn't clear of how things work, but I have more of a question, but since questions aren't being answered, then maybe it's a comment that the board could think about and have addressed later. My question is just, I have a daughter who is in elementary school within the school district, and I know when we received, the first day we received the handbook, the student handbook and forms to fill out, and I noticed that there wasn't any health and safety guidelines that were provided regarding protocols and procedures to follow when staff or students get sick, especially in light of the pandemic and COVID. And I was wondering if the board will provide that to the district or the schools so that can be distributed to families, just in the event that someone does become sick, that everybody kind of has that information as to what steps need to be taken afterwards. For example, I know that the Jefferson Union High School District has like a COVID dashboard up, and they also have their protocols and procedures as to quarantine requirements for the TK through 12 settings. So I was wondering if this district is planning to post something as well, or if they could, just so parents could have that information readily available.
Thank you for your understanding and knowing that we can't fully comment on what you have shared and the requests that have been made, but I will say that they have been received. The board has heard your comments. We have the superintendent and our administration listening in as well, and we look forward to responding accordingly. But
Okay,
thank you again.
Thank you. What happens afterwards, I guess?
So
I'm not sure.
Ms. Chong, I will contact you tomorrow.
Oh,
And we do have our safe return to school plan on our website, so you can look there. And we're part of the same county as Jefferson Union High School District, so we have the exact same protocol for responding to cases. But I'll contact you tomorrow to more fully understand your question.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.
Superintendent Vidalis, you mentioned there was another speaker card.
There was, but the speaker is not in the room to speak to us. So we'll hopefully they will come at another meeting.
Thank you again. Definitely appreciate parents and our public contributing their time, listening in, and also allowing us to hear their voices and their concerns. So I know that, my board colleagues, I know that we appreciate hearing from our community. So thank you again. We will now move on to governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflections. And we will start with Trustee Jordan.
Thank you. So I actually want to echo Trustee Liaga Anoai's sentiments and saying thank you to our parents and our community members for spending the time to attend our meetings and to actually speak. As a parent myself, with children in the school district, I think it's super important that we know that this district is not the governing board's district or the superintendent's district. It's the district. This district is our district in the sense of the parents, the people that live in the community, and hearing your voice and hearing your insight and your feedback is critical in making sure that we move in the right direction, because obviously we're serving you. We're here to make sure that things are as best as they can be for our students and for our community. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And then secondly, this was kind of a somber meeting. We have, former trustee that's moving out. We have Ms. Kessler that's retiring. So I'm still trying to process a lot of that information right now. But I am looking forward to seeing what our district continues to do. I think when it comes to, I think the one thing that stood out to me today was the decline in our, in our enrollment. And so for me, that's really concerning. I know that we're doing a lot of things in the district. We're making sure that we have, workforce housing. We've implemented ethnic studies. And so, and I know we've talked about this before, but definitely making sure that we are advertising that, and we're making sure that people understand that this is the district that you want your children in, because we are taking care of them in every single aspect to ensure that they come out as well-rounded as possible when they leave us. And so we can talk through that further, Superintendent Vidales, and figuring out what we can do as a board to help with the enrollment rates. Because I do think it's important, just overall that we showcase what we're doing as a board to ensure that our district is, doing what we can to ensure that we increase the enrollment, so that we don't have to make the decision of closing any schools, hopefully at any point in time. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up, I know I had received some concerns from some parents around, and I know that we voted on this maybe not the last meeting, the meeting before last, on the after school programs and communication that came from those after school programs. And so I did want to bring that up in the sense that we hear you, and we will bring this to the board and have a conversation about making sure communication around whatever it is, whether that be, to the point of the speaker earlier about our health and wellness and our after school programs, or whatever it is that is happening in the district, that we as a board, working with our administration and superintendent, are doing what's needed to communicate as best as can to our community and our parents. And that's all.
Thank you, Trustee Jordan. Trustee Brusuela?
Well, all of the above. I think there's a lot that we need to look at for this coming year. There's a lot of stuff that we need to do. And if we don't speak up and let the public and the parents and the children and the teachers and everybody involved with education, we don't let them know that we appreciate everything that they're doing, from PTA to anything else that is helping educate our children, making a comfortable place for everyone to be. If we don't get back on track with that in every way we can possibly do, we will lose our community. We need to have that. We need to praise it. We need to support it. And I think I have enough files in my house here. I can pull it out to show different ways that we can do this. We can build again something that everybody's knowing that we're really out there working and helping and supporting everything that has to do with our schools, because that's what our role is. We're here to make sure everybody, we don't leave anyone behind. So thank you for everybody's input, and I look forward to us working together as a great team.
Thank you, Trustee Brusuela. Trustee Koo?
I was actually going to share an update. A couple of weeks ago, actually no, last Friday, I apologize. We had our second meeting of the CSBA nominating committee. So evaluating questions for CSBA candidates for president-elect and vice president. So we spent over 2 hours going through a set of questions, sort of understanding the candidates' positions on a variety of school reopenings, to equity, to budget, to you name it, pretty much 20 detailed questions. So look forward to interviewing the candidates in about a month or so, and then provide a recommendation to the delegates at Delegate Assembly in early December. So just want to provide an update on the meeting we had there. Similarly, just want to wish everybody a happy early Labor Day. I realize it's only 2 weeks away. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll beat COVID.
Thank you, Trustee Koo. And like Trustee Brucewella said, all of the above. You guys said pretty much everything that needed to be said for this evening. But I do know that it is going to be an overwhelming conversation to look at declining enrollment if that should continue. I hope that we don't have to have that conversation on a very severe level, especially how it may impact us, but I'm going to remain hopeful. But I think what I really enjoyed hearing and has resonated for me from your comments is reclaiming our narrative about celebrating our district. And as Ms. Monio had exited and shared her journey, she highlighted some of the very wonderful things that have been happening here and that maybe people aren't aware of. It will be wonderful to remind them of a lot of the things that we have in place and that we've been intentional about implementing here to ensure that we have quality, a quality education offered to our community. But also there's other things that we are doing, like our workforce housing. That was very intentional to ensure that we could keep our educators, our staff in our community. So hopefully we can collectively work to elevate those stories, to promote the wonderful things that are happening here. But the reality is still that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and that has definitely impacted the decline of our enrollment. But I love the energy. I appreciate, I appreciate this board. I heard that shared tonight too. I appreciate our administrators, our educators, and hearing a parent voice this evening was definitely appreciated. Thank you again, Ms. Monio, for your service. I love hearing that you're continuing to do work with JESD. And thank you, Ms. Kessler. We're gonna drag out your time here till New Year's Eve. So we're gonna make it very slow and enjoy. We're all gonna come and schedule sessions so we get our time in with you before you officially leave the district. But thank you again. Let us all be very, very vigilant in remaining safe. I know I've shared it before. It's no fun to catch what's going around. No fun. So let's be the examples in our communities. And I think we do have someone that we will be closing our meeting out. Superintendent, did you have any closing comments? Thank you. So we are asking that our meeting be closed out and that we have a moment of silence adjourning in memory of Clarissa Kovacha Roth. Is that correct, Mr. Valenti? Who was a teacher at Benjamin Franklin Middle School. Mr. Valenti, did you have comments you wanted to share before we?
I just, again, I was actually at the memorial service on Monday with quite a few folks, and, Clarissa and I actually were hired the same date in September of 1998. And I was just really touched by the strength the family is exhibiting in such a difficult time. And I could only imagine if my partner left me in such a situation. And it's just, she's going to be a very missed soul. And I know the family, the staff at Ben Franklin, all of us who work with her are going to miss her very much. And it's only appropriate for us to take this time to remember her. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti. May we honor her memory in a moment of silence. Thank you all again, and our prayers and wishes of comfort to her family and to our community for her loss.
Thank you.
And Superintendent Vidalis, looks like we're at 8:55 as we close out and adjourn our open session.
Yep. And so I posted in the chat, if you see there, where we will be for the closed session, the new Zoom session. And if you don't have that, I believe this time I did actually send an email at 6:55 right before the meeting with the information. And it is 8:56. Do we want to take a 5 or 10-minute, 9-minute break? What would you say?
So does that,
On a 4-minute break? and come back at
4-minute
5?
break? Okay, 9 o'clock.
Is that too short for everyone?
yeah, it's a little too short.
Yeah.
The reason why is I don't know how to get in and out of this, and I'm gonna have to find my daughter upstairs
Okay.
someplace to have her help me do it. So I'm afraid if I close out, I won't get back in.
Yeah, we
That
will.
happened to me once before.
Yes. So you have two ways. One,
Okay,
we'll keep this open until you
Okay.
can click on it.
okay,
And then also, it's in your email that just came at 6:55 today.
yeah, but I don't know. I'd have to shut everything down to get my email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Okay. All
Once I
right.
lose it, I can't go back again.
All right. Well, we'll stop recording and then Mr. Smith will keep this window open until you can get over there. And it may just be a wait. It may just tell you you're in a waiting room and don't worry about it. I'll be there in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. 9, let's say 9:05.
9:05?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I do now? Do I just leave my screen alone?
What you can do, if you go down to the bottom, there's a
Yes, sir.
chat bubble there that says chat and there's a speech bubble at the bottom. If you click on that,
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Where does it say chat?
center of the screen at the bottom.
It doesn't say chat. Unless
Oh.
there's a symbol that I'm not seeing. Oh, I see, chat.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so what I do?
Click
Click on
on
that?
that. Yep. And then you see the letters that are in blue.
There's nothing in blue, but there is share screen.
So there you should see a message that says to join the closed session, join the Zoom meeting. When you click on that speech bubble,
It doesn't say it here. Sorry.
okay. Well, we'll keep this window open. If you want to go get your daughter, she can help you. It's in the chat and I'll stay here for a little minute before I
Okay,
go take a
let's
little
go
break.
get her and then she can help me then. Oops, okay. Hold on.
So Bernie, are we saying 10 minutes?